Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fate Prototype Reading Commentaries. Now, this one took a little bit of time to get back to, so for those of you who haven't been following the saga, mostly on, like social media and stuff, I was going to read this a lot sooner, but this volume, and the 5th volume, and Labyrinth, weren't really that well written. They were very clearly, they were the first draft, essentially, and they were supposed to, the original translator was supposed to come back and touch them up, because they did, I think, the order of, I think it was 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, and so, like, 4 was really bad, though, and I couldn't read it, so I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pay someone to retranslate 4, 5, and Labyrinth. And the person who very, very graciously helped me work with this, they are Trafalgar Log. You can see them right there. Credits are work in progress. They helped me out to, not only did we work on, we did 4 here, we fully retranslated and updated and fixed up 1, 2, and 3. Those are available already. But this one here, 4, is not. This is actually the work in progress copy of it, because this is my first time reading it, and it is also a editing pass. So it's going to be a little bit different from my other ones, where if I ever complain about a line not making sense, I can fix it. I'm the editor. You can't stop me. So yeah, this is a work in progress. Things like pictures we get new scans of them, nice HD ones. We have a whole team. I'm a freaking director. This is cool as hell. And yeah, so we will be kind of reading and editing this together, and so it'll be a little different for the next couple ones. Plus, this isn't available for anyone to read right now, so I got that exclusive content. Ooh, baby! With that said, let's get started on Volume 4 here. Looks like we're focusing on Bernhild, and her master, who I don't really know, and Arash, and his master, who I don't really know. Volume 4. Yeah, let's do this. Even like these, I got people that are retranslating the bio pages to make them look more copacetic, getting this totally retypeset. So we got translations, new typesetting. We do double page spreads instead. It's gonna look nice, but that just means I can't read it right now. So we got Bro's casual outfit, zippy and unzippy form. Very nice. Yeah, Archer. Oh, I like how I said Arash, like it's meant to be a surprise, but like we know him very well. And you, okay, you're the master. You're cute. I think your name is Elza Saijo. Saijo? Wait. I'm gonna need to think about that. That name sounds... Now, it's been a minute since I last read the last volume, but like... Because, okay, Saijo is not the same as... I'm gonna just scroll down for a sec, right? Because I know her name appears... Saijo. Saijo, is that different from Saijo? It must be. We got, this is literally just what she looks like in Grand Order. Like, I think that's literally her Grand Order art. It might be. Okay. Lancer. See, it's funny because I don't love how she really looks like Lucamine in this art just because the way her hair goes. But then you see how it actually flows and it is quite different. And I think it's a lot more different when you see it like this. She has a good design when it's not the same default pose. Oh, my dude is Nigel. Nigel Soward. Okay. Is he blind or is he just cool as hell? That's the question. We'll have to learn. Anyways, we have Dear My Hero, Special Act, Women, and then the bonus stuff at the end. We also will be... we've been getting these pages kind of redone too. But this, so it's difficult. You might be like, okay, well, why don't you just translate this? Here's the problem. Every time we make edits, the page numbers change, so we have to do it again every time. So that's why, yeah, like you would be surprised the amount of work it takes to actually edit one of these things, because every time you make changes, you have to check everything. But that's okay, because now we can do it together. Dear My Hero, Prologue. So Dear My Hero is the name of the entire arc, okay. And yeah, because I remember I just scrolled down a bit to look at stuff, and I'm like, oh, we're starting right in the future. So we're starting in Prototype. February 1999 AD, within a dimly lit underground cathedral in a certain ward of Tokyo. It was overwhelming. Its brute strength and dexterity were certainly to be expected, but who could have imagined it would be such an incomparable creature? With a bulky body and a height well over 2 meters, this heroic spirit was a brutal mass with a physique like steel. But that didn't mean it was a slow-witted colossus by any means. But then, what was it? Casting its shadow in the high ceiling of the underground chapel with a low growl, its eyes glowed red with madness. It was slaughter itself in the form of pure superhuman strength. A machine executing combat with terrifying precision and agility. A hero brought into the world as a berserker, the second-ranked class in the Second Holy Grail War unfolding in Tokyo. A thing made from dreams. A thing with power beyond any mankind was capable of. Power that was far from ordinary. The heroes from legends who slay a single monster to save their people were nothing in comparison to it. Indeed, could a slender girl like her ever truly comprehend its true name? With an aura of pure innocence, entirely unsuited to standing motionless in the shadows of an eerie subterranean sanctuary. No. With her history and connections with the witchcraft branch of the vast framework of magecraft that was etched into the world, words like pure or innocent were unsuited to her. I'm just going to highlight that. That's a bit of a weird one. I want to come back to that. I'm going to read that a couple times later. Even if she had never once used a blood sacrifice. And yet, even so, she may have some sort of purity. The girl who continued fighting in the far eastern city with beautiful clear eyes hidden behind her glasses. One of the masters who dared to take part in the Second Holy Grail War, and the sister of the genius Magus who so radiantly seized victory in the First Holy Grail War 8 years ago. Spoilers! But was said to have not obtained the Holy Grail. Her name was Seijo Ayaka. Saber! The girl called out to her servant, to he who was the strongest, to he who was the unquestioned first-ranked heroic spirit of the sword who could defeat any foe. It was a pure and heart-wrenching cry. Would her voice reach him? Put plainly, the situation had gone beyond the girl's expectations. Ultimately, she had underestimated her enemy, and she foolishly believed that his existence, forged through countless victorious battles, had become invincible. Saber was powerful indeed, his mythical armor, shining in sky silver, oh, there's the color, could withstand countless attacks. His weapon, charged with wind prana and rendered invisible, could cleave through countless foes. He was a heroic spirit wielding an unseen sword. Borrowing the words of that gold-clad archer, Protogil, he was a wielder of a holy sword. When the sword's true name was revealed, the enemy could witness its greatest, mightiest form. Well, kind of. Because doesn't he have to, ask permission before it can show its mightiest form? Haven't we, never seen, apparently, its full form? Maybe. Maybe. There's that one time, but I don't know if that's even its full form. However, that was only if he could unleash the fullest extent of his abilities as Saber. He may have cleaved even this berserker, who's I assume it's Proto-Hercules, right? Because I don't know who was the proto-berserker for actual Prototype. But in my brain it was Hercules still, because I think he was designed pretty early. He may have even cleaved this berserker, whose colossal frame was like lightning-fast steel in an instant. But that is not what happened. The terrain was working against Saber and the girl. The underground cathedral was rigged with several traps. The faint shimmer of mystical light, barely visible to ordinary eyes, indicated the presence of a meticulously crafted bounded field. While it may not have been able to defeat a heroic spirit with the highest ranked magic resistance still, it may not have been able... Still, yeah, because you would put a thing there. Still, it could at least induce the slightest hesitation. I'm going to come back to that. That's a bit weird. I can see how I can work that, though. That fraction of a second, less than a millisecond, would be enough to determine victory or defeat in a battle between heroic spirits, these supernatural beings, these recreations of mythology. Oh yeah, massive stone axe. It's, yeah, okay. The moment their first strikes collided, neither held the upper hand. An invisible sword and a massive stone axe. Evenly matched abilities. Their weapons were knocked aside by the impact, but they each regained their footing in an instant and returned to high-speed combat. Had her vision not been enhanced by a spell, the girl would surely have lost sight of them at this point. They had entered into a realm of super speed, invisible to ordinary human eyes. Could even the latest high-speed cameras capture their battle? Well, they would certainly struggle. Bit awkward. We can work that. The intense pressure of the wind and the way the stone walls of the underground cathedral looked... the intense pressure of the wind and the way the stone walls of the underground cathedral looked... The intense pressure of the wind and the way the stone walls... Okay, yeah, that's awkward. I think that's a sentence fragment, because again, it works off the Japanese there. So we could fix that, though. Okay. With each strike, yeah, they looked as... yeah, I'm just trying to figure this out. The intense pressure of the wind and the way the stone walls... Okay, so it's describing it, right? They would certainly struggle, maybe watching it? Or, I don't know if that's following up with a second, or... yeah, I'll take a look at that. With each strike, kinetic energy more powerful than a collision between large vehicles or a plane crash was unleashed. Precisely, accurately, they blocked, deflected, and evaded attacks tantamount to death itself, sometimes protecting their own master, sometimes targeting the enemy master. Ultimate seconds. Ultimate seconds. Ultimate stalemate. I get the ultimate stalemate, but the ultimate seconds is a bit weird. At this point, the two heroic spirits were nearly on the same level of strength. So, then what would decide the outcome? First, as previously mentioned, the terrain advantage, the bounded field. Putting it bluntly, this factor came about due to carelessness on the girl master's part. Yeah, okay. Despite anticipating traps when entering an enemy's territory, she underestimated them. She felt that Saber wouldn't lose. Did she have faith in him? No, not quite. She had overestimated him. She relied on their experience defeating Ryder and Castor. Who was Castor at this time? I assume a proto-Medea. We know Ryder was, Perseus, right? Yeah. Despite the fact that in the Holy Grail War, there was no such things as absolute advantage or absolute superiority. A splash of crimson on the pavement, flowing down from Saber's forehead and down onto the stone surface, was a thing that sustained the life of his temporary body. Blood. Magical energy. Berserker was spewing vast amounts of magical energy from his massive frame as well, along with freshly drawn blood. The moment their stalemate broke, the finishing blow was struck not by one side, but by both. Thus, Saber was blown away and slammed against the stone wall with incredible force. At the same time, Berserker had his left arm, from shoulder to the left side of his chest, sliced clean off. The left of his chest. His heart, the spiritual core of a heroic spirit. Maybe I'll see about doing spirit core instead. Had to have been severely damaged. It was undoubtedly a fatal blow. Therefore, in terms of pure skill, Had Saber barely seized victory? No, he had not. Saber and the girl had lost the battle. Gaze upon it. The massive form, whose heart should have been torn in two, did not fall. Berserker stood, white breath still expelling violently from its mouth, as if imbued with magical energy. It was not dead. Despite the fatal wound, it stared intently at the fallen Saber without a single hint that it would let its guard down. This was the second factor that decided the outcome. The girl did not know her enemy. She forgot about the possibility that there was a greater threat than him, that a true hero could exist in human history. She charged straight ahead, confronting a monster that could boast invincible immortality. Had she sensed this beforehand, she may have been able to make countermeasures, but she did not. Now, with the enemy's abilities exposed, she remained unable to respond. If she had been her genius sister, the girl who could instantly construct and connect to not only the revealed foundations of magecraft like witchcraft, runes, necromancy, gems, or elemental transmutation, but also unique kinds created and used by powerful magi. This is maybe a bit of a run-on sentence. Yeah, I see what they're saying, but it's a little extreme, right? But also the unique kinds created and used by powerful magi or ancient families, and could even wield magecraft bordering on the realm of magic. She probably could have handled it. Yeah, that I feel like you kind of lose the you lose the plot a little bit in how much you're told there. But her sister was gone. She was nowhere to be found. She was killed 8 years ago during the First Holy Grail War. I have known why. Okay, so no, I did learn this. Okay, so there was a comment I was left that this man speaks broken Japanese, and that's why he will speak wrong, right? So, I have no want to kill Saber. He is the sole witness who can tell the truth of the beast. A man spoke, his footsteps echoing with hard thuds. A man who was lean and tall, a man with chiseled features. Berserker's master. He had watched the clash from the depths of the underground sanctuary without moving an inch. Oh, it's Sancreed, okay. Only after confirming the conclusion of the battle did he finally speak. He approached Saber at a leisurely, almost insufferably slow pace. Young lady, I can let you alive if you wish. Yeah, the same broken Japanese he spoke with before. The man snapped his fingers. In response, Berserker reached out with his unsevered right arm and, without any sign of pain, lifted Saber's body. What? Oh, please don't move. Berserker would kill you. Even without being told, the girl understood, but he told her deliberately. She couldn't move. All she could do was stare. Saber's body, hoisted by the massive right hand, was placed on the cathedral's altar. They don't show Berserker there. God, what an outfit, though. Like, that clearly is what then would later go on to make, like, Sakura's sort of outfit. The cathedral was certainly based on the doctrine which venerated the Messiah. Okay, one more time. The cathedral was certainly based on the doctrine which venerated the Messiah who ascended as he bore the sins of mankind and the singular God who was his father. Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm recording this on Christmas. And yet, when Saber was laid upon the altar, it almost seemed like the kind of sacrificial offering one would see in Central American mythology. He truly was a sacrifice. At least he was to this man, to Berserker's master. Come on this way, Seijo Ayaka. A respectful bow. She had no way to resist. No matter how dangerous it was to approach a magus who still commanded a heroic spirit, I'd probably bring those together. A bit weird. She wouldn't abandon him. She wouldn't run away no matter what. That was the expression on her face. It would be a shame to give up on the strongest heroic spirit after a single defeat caused by her own experience. Or something like that. Was that how she felt? Were those the kinds of thoughts she was having? Or perhaps, was it something else entirely? Something far more human? Yes, over this way. One step more. A little further, a little more further. Yes, like this. Don't be so scared, please. See? Not scary. Not scary. Nothing to worry for. I won't kill you. I said so, right? He walked across the stone pavement, covered in a thin line of water. He looked more like a carnivorous beast licking its lips while stalking its prey than a human. Or perhaps a serial murderer performing the same act before his victim. Yes, the moment she felt that unpleasant chill run down her spine, he had already moved. If you don't move, his long right arm reached out toward her. I won't kill you! She tried to step back on instinct, but it was too late. She couldn't react in time. Oh, wait, what? The front of her school uniform, ribbon and all, was torn clean off. Uh-oh! She gasped from the shock of it. No words came out. She surely understood what the man was trying to do. Okay. Sometimes these sentence fragments, I get that's what they were in Japanese, but I definitely do believe that there's some times when they should be kind of put together. He didn't strip her clothes and expose her skin to sexually assault her. Oh, hell yeah. Good. He didn't do it because she was a woman, but because she was a magus. No, because she was a master taking part in the Holy Grail War with a heroic spirit by her side. It was an act directed at her specifically. On her chest, the pattern of a single black feather. Okay, so it's in the same spot as Manaka there. Single black feather stood against her pale skin, her command spell, the sole sign of her connection to a heroic spirit. He raised his right hand toward it. There were signs of some kind of special spell being activated. Magecraft. The man made a proclamation in a language that was neither Japanese nor English. A load that felt like high gravity was placed upon the girl's body, and a pained breath escaped her lips. A massive ripple formed in the thin layer of water on the pavement below. Then, a powerful burst of light. Howling laughter, mocking her at a pitch that was almost too much to bear. The girl, eyes shut to endure the pressure brought on by the ritual, probably didn't see it. She didn't see— Oh, no! She didn't see her command spell vanish from her chest. She didn't see her single-feathered command spell rise up and be sucked onto the man's bare chest. Oh my god, he steals command spells! All she saw was what happened once the ritual was over. A fierce wave of fatigue and exhaustion. Collapsing where she stood, she looked through her glasses. Where was her single-feathered command spell? Her chest. No, there was nothing there. It was gone from where it belonged. She could still hear it. The sound of laughter. The mocking laughter of a man taunting a foolish, powerless girl. The figure in front of her, turning to the altar, her single-feathered command spell was there on his chest, the proof of contract with the heroic spirit of the sword, who manifested as the highest-ranked servant in the Second Holy Grail War. Authority as Saber's master, it is now mine. The thrust of words was as sharp as a sword gouging into her chest. He surely knew this. Suddenly, his tone grew quiet and solemn, with the voice and manner of a gentlemanly priest, just as he used when they first met. Thank you for your cooperation, young lady. Another bow. Deep, so deep that it seemed as if his head would touch the floor. Followed by one more sentence. But Saber is faulty in a few ways. I'll need to rebuild him. What? Still sitting on the cold, damp floor, the girl raised her head in stunned silence. He was smiling. Looking down at the girl who had just lost everything, he clearly took joy in it. Despair, resignation, regret. With a cruel expression, he thought from the bottom of his heart that this girl ought to feel these sorts of emotions, that she ought to taste them. Anyone who saw it would have declared it as a terrifying evil grin. Still wearing that full smile, he went on. Berserker, smash. Pass for me, personally. Coldly, cruelly. The words were meant to shatter her last hope. And then the girl. Okay, so the whole thing about, like, stealing Saber was, sent over to Castor instead in the actual Stay Night. But in the prototype, then, I guess it was Sancreed who took it. Okay. You wouldn't give in. I knew that. Oh, is this Saber's perspective now? Or perhaps I should say I believed it. What about you not long ago? What about you not long ago? I'm gonna check that. Yeah, that's a bit weird. Do you think you would have hung your head and given up? Maybe what about I know what it's saying. We're gonna go, what about the you from not long ago? There we go. Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, right? Because that's what it's saying there. I like that more. Right? Or perhaps I should have believed it. What about the you from not long ago? And you know what I'm going to say? What about the you? Yeah, what about the you from not long ago? Do you think you would have hung your head and given up? Maybe so. When we met, or rather, when we were reunited, you were terribly frightened. You were a terribly frightened, timid girl, afraid of so many things, but this moment was different. This, you tricked me! Oh wait, or no, is that her? Wait, this, you tricked me. Oh no, that is her. I heard your voice, Ayaka. Lying on the altar in the underground cathedral. Even with my eyes closed, I knew it. I knew, Ayaka, you wouldn't despair. Even if you did, yes, you wouldn't give in. Witchcraft was unleashed. Sound cut through the wind. Sound cut through wind. Bullets. Okay, this is, I don't know whether it's saying that, I don't know whether this is saying that the sound, that there's sound cut from wind and bullets made of crow feathers, or if it's saying like the sound cut through the wind and the bullets were. Yeah, I'll need to check that. Yeah, I'm assuming it's that the sound of, sound, that a sound cut through the wind, and then was it bullets made from crow feathers? We'll have to see. I'm gonna send these notes back, and from that I'll work off of it. So witchcraft was unleashed. A sound was cut through wind. A sound cut through the wind. I think if you just make that sound cut through the wind, right? Bullets made from crow feathers. I think that's the best way to do it, right? Because he's sort of like, sound. Even if we go sound suddenly, right? Sound suddenly cut through the wind. Bullets made from crow feathers. I think that makes more sense. Your specialty. Just as Messiah said, it was as if elemental conversion magecraft suited you the best, but I digress. You resisted. That alone wouldn't be enough. I knew little of magecraft, but this was anti-magecraft. Yes, I'm very cautious. If I don't move my magic circle, I will get too scared to move. From the aura alone, I could... Okay, so... No, this is her saying it. And so this is him then doing it, right? The enemy was canceling out magecraft. Okay. Right? Anti-magecraft. Okay. So then, yeah, then he says, like, yes, I'm very cautious. If I don't move my magic circle, I'll get too scared to move. From the aura alone, I could sense it. The enemy was canceling out any magecraft. As he was saying, it was a bounded field created by an extremely powerful magic circle. He was constantly moving it. It was like fighting a sword and armor on the battlefield while clad in an entire fortress. Fighting with a sword and armor. Breaking through with magecraft would be especially difficult. Servant level anti-magecraft resistance? Magic resistance? It may have been on par with me, the top-ranked servant. Oh, and? His voice wavered. Would he move? Yes. Let's make this more fun. I need neither of you anymore, so just die now. I knew it'd be something like that. A powerful retort. Not really powerful, but okay. I could tell you were refusing to break eye contact. Weren't you talking all about wanting a peaceful... Wait, weren't you Oh, wait, no, because this is... Okay, one thing I'll say, not the easiest to tell who's speaking right now, so I'll need to think about that, maybe how we can work with that, right? Weren't you all talking about wanting a peaceful resolution? You're with the church, aren't you? Ha! The echo of a single sound, a mix of breath and articulation. Again, that same mocking laugh. Oh my god, I just read what's said here. That was lying. I just actually hate Orientals. Okay, well, Japanese people make my blood run cold especially much. Oh my god, okay, fair enough. A cruel voice. But it was my blood that ran cold. I wouldn't let him enjoy this any longer. The overseer sent by the Holy Church, the man rumored to be the first rank master, Sancrade Fan. I said Sancrade, but it's Sancrade Fan. I'm going to double check the spelling on that with FGO to make sure it's the same. Between him and Ayaka, there would be no contest. And so, come on, get up, me. Who are you? What is your wish? What were you thinking when you spoke those words to Bedivere? I forgot that you'd also spoke those words to Bedivere. I'm like, what? So what if I've taken a direct hit from a great hero? So what if our master-servant contract was transferred? I have fought and crushed everything in my path. Dragons, beasts, knights, even that despicable king. Even if my entire body was beaten to the brink of collapse, my spirit origin, yeah, I'm gonna probably fix that to spirit origin, was intact. Or spirit core, I'll double check. Probably spirit origin, because that's kind of the knight. I like that phrase. It's a very unique proper noun, you know? But this man had yet to supply me with any magical energy. Recovery was impossible. Truly, yes, we were undoubtedly in peril. But surely you, Ayaka Seijo Ayaka, will not give up. I murmured to myself. I had faith. You wouldn't take hold of the Holy Grail as brilliantly as Manaka once did. But even so, even if it was purely defensive, even if all we could do was escape, you would hold your ground. You would never retreat until the finish line. Then I would do the same, Master. Even without the command spells bonding us physically, you are the lady to whom I have dedicated my sword. Ayaka. I extended my hand, which should not have been able to move. I grasped the hilt of my materialized holy sword. You can still fight, can you not? You can still swing your sword, can you not? The chance to counterattack would come in time. Yes, indeed. You can do it, Arthur Pendragon. This wasn't my first time facing a desperate situation in the Holy Grail War. Even if our chances of receiving aid were slime... Oh, that's just a proper typo. Slime, slim, right? Even if our chances of receiving aid were slim, just as I did back then. I'd say just as it was back then, right? Even if our chance of receiving aid were slim, just as it was back then, I would resist against this overwhelming might. Yeah, I kind of would prefer that to be one, right? Resist against this overwhelming might. I prefer that to be one there. And then you could do this then as second, against this pure force standing in my way. With all that I had, against that which I had to strike down. And now, now we're going back to the prototype Fragments story. And now we turn back time, 8 years prior, 1991 AD. Just days after the history's first Holy Grail War began, amidst the battle between 7 Magi and 7 servants, after the heroic spirit of madness vanished as the war's first casualty, around the time the great temple complex appeared over Tokyo Bay. The recreation of mythology, the advent of legends, the transcendence of reality. At that very moment, as the grand decisive battle of the First Holy Grail War was about to commence. Fate Prototype, Fragments of Sky Silver, Dear My Hero. Bum. Cool. Continuing on. Late one night, February 1991 AD, above Tokyo Bay. When had he last witnessed such a pure manifestation of majesty? Not even in Londinium, the satellite city in eastern Britain as a province of the ancient Roman Empire, was there a temple of such colossal proportions. The thought made him shudder. An immense concentration of magical energy, revealing its majestic form on the dark late-night sea. It materialized without effort, crushing the artificial island undergoing construction that was meant to serve as a connection point for the Tokyo Bay crossing. Wait, did they crush Odaiba? I love Odaiba. Oh no! Was this a new island? Or a dignified royal castle towering over the sea? Or a monstrous fortress? The media had settled reporting it as a mirage over Tokyo Bay. Wow, though, those mass mirages. But whether that attempt to control the narrative would be maintained would depend entirely on what happened next. An enormous structure composed of several great temples. More accurately, it should have been called a single massive temple complex structure stretching over several kilometers. Oh, it's bigger than I thought. Simply beholding it evoked awe at its immense scale. One might expect entry into Ryder's fortress to be exceedingly difficult, but the intrusion itself was surprisingly simple. Saber knew this firsthand. He had been summoned by the temple's ruler. After parting ways with his master, Seijo Manaka, at Harumi Pier, he sprinted at full speed across the 10 kilometers of sea between them and the temple complex. There was no interference whatsoever. The vast open corridor facing the Miura Peninsula seemed to welcome him in. What fate would await an uninvited guest? The moment he beheld the boundless, columnal corridor, he understood. A blinding flash. A deafening roar. Was this the power unleashed by an astonishing reality marble that was capable of rewriting reality by force? Or was this power unleashed by the mystery of this noble phantasm, a trump card possessed by a being that manifested into the world as a heroic spirit? Or perhaps, was it the fury permitted to the ancient gods, granted to this rider Ozymandias, the mightiest hero of ancient Egypt, who proclaimed himself as a god king? Each explanation was correct, yet fell short in some way. Behold, the radiance, the wrath of the sun descending from the heavens upon this place. Projected from the main temple's cannon section as it unfolded and transformed, resonating with a deep bassy tone, it was scorching, divine punishment. Where, indeed, was it directed? Toward the earth? No. Since the heroic spirit of the sword had arrived as agreed, the God King would not burn Tokyo to ash just yet. He did not lie when he said his word was absolute. Then what? The sea. The pitiful hunk of steel drifting amidst the waves. Saber's keen vision recognized and grasped the situation the instant before impact. What am I reading here? Specifically, it was a Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser. Oh, the U.S. Navy is part of this. Okay. From the U.S. Navy's Pacific Fleet, which had fired several Tomahawk cruise... are they Tomahawk cruiser missiles or cruise missiles? I always heard Tomahawk cruiser missiles. I'm going to look this up. Is it cruiser or cruise? Tomahawk. Nope. Just cruise. Okay. What is a Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser? I want to see what that looks like. I'm looking this up here. Okay, yeah, that's just the name of the ship. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I wanted to double check that just because I was real curious about it. Because I always heard cruiser missiles, which had fired several Tomahawk cruise missiles at the massive unidentified structure that appeared over the Tokyo Bay. The battleship was equipped with the Aegis system, which was the most formidable naval air defense system modern civilization had to offer. Its weaponry bore the name of the mightiest shield in Greek mythology. It, along with several of its sister ships, were swallowed by a colossal torrent of light off the coast of Yokosuka. Is it Yokosuka or Yokosuka? I don't actually know how to properly say that. Missiles and all. There was no point in asking why. It was unclear what prompted the U.S. naval fleet to redirect from their course to the Middle East. From their course to the Middle East to launch a missile attack here. I'm gonna maybe look at that. That's a bit awkward. Regardless of their reason, also that's just words I wouldn't expect to read in this, ever. Regardless of the reasoning, though, it was an unforgivable act. Oh my god, the U.S. screws it up again. The radiant heroic spirit who's told Saber to wait at the great temple summoned only 3 of the remaining heroic spirits, meaning that what awaited any uninvited foes who showed hostile intent, whether they wielded swords, magecraft, or modern weaponry, was death. And they would meet their ends, entirely vaporized by the sun as it descended upon the earth. Ryder, are you really... It was too late. The light of death had already been unleashed. Before their battle had even begun, countless lives unrelated to the Holy Grail War were taken. The God King Ozymandias had demonstrated the potential sacrifice of people from this era through action alone. Do you truly intend to reduce Tokyo to ashes? His grip on his holy sword tightened, tighter than ever before. He may have been more enraged than okay. At that moment, we're not doing than. He may have been more enraged at that moment than than at any time. Yeah. He may have been more enraged at that moment than at any time, because that's comparing, right? Yeah. Since manifesting in this world. See, this is what I mean. Like, you just kind of do little things like that just to make it so you're not saying than, because, like, I hate that. Facing Ryder, who declared divine punishment, or perhaps do not interfere. A quiet declaration. His voice carried the chill of... Oh, wait, no, or was this? His voice carried the chill of his blade. Okay, no, that was Saber saying that, right? Do not interfere. A quiet declaration. His voice carried the chill of his blade. He was not conscious of it. More than half unconscious, his gaze matched his words in temperature. He glared at two colossal beasts peering out from the pillars of the corridor, each over 10 meters wide. Familiar forms, four-legged predators. With a certain holiness in their manifestation, they were strange, unearthly creatures with the bodies of lions and the heads of humans. Magical beasts? No. Phantasmal beasts? No. They were divine beasts. One of the noble phantasms that the God King used to slaughter his foes, the lion-bodied beasts of the hot sands, sphinxes. None could deny that they were creatures from the age of gods, embodiment of the cataclysmic fires and tempests that exists in legends. Exist? Yeah, sure. I can live with that being in present tense, because they still exist in legend. Two of them at once. An ordinary magus would be overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of mystery, and would likely be filled with such unabated awe and excitement that they may even begin to cheer, though their life would likely be snuffed out immediately afterward. Their movements were swifter than a hero's sword, and their attack power surpassed modern weaponry, easily exceeding any ordinary servant. It seemed that this temple, the realm that had welcomed Saber into its corridors, was a garden of mystery. Their bodies were not flesh and blood, but they were composed of rock like golems. The unique aura mingling faintly in the air declared as much. They were authentic. The two beings that appeared were phantasmal species without a doubt. Facing the two beasts blocking his path with superhuman speed that defied the laws of physics, Saber did not draw his sword. He merely made a declaration. Stand down. They replied. Not in human speech, but through the roar of a beast. Their faces, modeled after a human's, bared their fangs. The beast lunged at the swordsman who kept his hands naturally lowered in a demonstration of nature's fury. Combat had begun. In an instant, their initial clash was over. Perfect synchronization. A flawless, coordinated attack by two divine beasts with bodies armored with the same material as the giant pillars in the corridor. One charged forward, striking from point-blank range with claws of death, jaws of death. The other leapt from behind at close range, unleashing a deadly firestorm. Well, he's doing like a little dash attack. If one focused on the front attack, they'd be scorched from behind. If one turned their attention to the flames behind them, they'd be torn apart from the front. The simultaneous dual assault that was meant to guarantee absolute victory failed to destroy Saber's body. Something was torn apart, though. The stone divine beasts. Just as they were poised to reap the life of their prey, both were shattered. Before the claws of death could reach him, before the raging flames could touch him, he intercepted with supersonic rotation. That's on me. I see that and I think of Sonic, which I shouldn't. The explosion of wind, unleashed in all directions by the wind prana of his holy sword, halted the two beasts in an instant. simultaneously. A series of, okay, we're doing supersonic twice in a row. We'll try and get a new word for that. Series of supersonic spins. We'll get a new phrase for that. Enhanced by a magical energy release skill that drastically amplified the strength of his body's muscles. He unleashed a terrifying barrage of countless slashes, cleaving, severing, and shredding the divine beasts. Magic a spinning top that maintained perfect equilibrium, except that this top shattered everything it touched. The battle was over. Not even 2 seconds had passed. There was not a single wound on Saber's body. He was entirely unchanged. The only difference was a fierce gaze he had never shown his master. Oh, one more thing. His sword. In his right hand was the form of a single sword. The wind prana that had concealed its blade. His noble phantasm, barrier of the Wind King, invisible air, had been dispelled. A golden blade, a radiant sword. It was meant to be a weapon forged for battle, but it was breathtakingly beautiful. So renowned that its presence required concealment by wind-based noble phantasm. Forged in the inner seas of the earth, it was the ultimate blade, the divine construct. Its name was known to every heroic spirit that manifested in the world, the holiest of swords. Therefore, should any bear witness to it, they would surely point and say, Holy Sword User. Okay, that's a roar. Okay. One that resembled a human groan. Okay, so it's not berserkers, so we can leave that. Maybe I'll see about doing something fun with that, though. We can maybe see about that. Instead of just the dots, you can sometimes see what FGO does for some of these roars and maybe see about putting that in. A roar. One that resembled a human groan. That's a thing. It's a human groan, so it'd be interesting to see, right? It was unclear if it truly recognized him as the bearer of a holy sword. 2 voices. Beasts that should have been shattered into dozens of fragments mere moments ago now howled, full of intent to fight, full of magical energy, not a single shadow. Not a single shadow? As in, like, shadow of doubt? I might need a clarification on that. The 2 divine beasts that should have been utterly destroyed were reconstructing themselves on the spot, as if time had turned backward. They possess formidable vitality even when alive. He reflected on the one he had slain at Harumi Pier. Though that creature, which attacked him with red-hot claws despite the gaping hole in its skull, was certainly formidable, this was on another level. They had regenerated from death. There were several possible explanations. Revival through powerful regenerative abilities, as he'd witnessed. Synthetic beasts assembled instantly from corpse material. Creatures designed to be lifeless from the start through necromantic magecraft. Some power inherent to the great temple complex as a noble phantasm. Whatever the cause, what mattered was an immortal beast then, rider, a flash of light. The blade of his holy sword held low reflected the 2 totally regenerated beings. A pharaoh is a god, therefore the gods above live within me. The innermost chamber of the temple, the throne, standing in an uncanny space that housed a giant eerie orb, the God King laughed. Faint strands of light that resembled magic circuits stretched to every corner of the floor, walls, and ceiling, signifying the overflowing presence of immense magical energy. The pharaoh knew everything that occurred within his great temple complex. Where humans remained unaware of the activity of bacteria within their bodies, the God King Ozymandias comprehended everything. One fool had stepped into his inner sanctum. Far too careless, far too fragile. At least this was how it appeared to the reigning king. You challenge this garden of the gods alone? You would need the might of 3 servants combined at the least. It was hardly unreasonable. He continued thus. The God King narrowed his eyes slightly. The sinking of that fleet of steel ships commanded by people of this age was an outcome he had not desired. Yet, if it had brought this unyielding resolve to Saber, then perhaps it had some meaning after all. Indeed, how ironic, he thought as his mouth twisted. I shed blood to save the world, and you hope to save people in order to destroy it? No reply. To destroy it? What? Huh? The voice could not reach the swordsman still battling the two infinitely regenerating beasts. You're very desperate, aren't you? Rather desperate, aren't you? Haha, Saber. Very well. Advance if you wish. First, splendidly conquer that first corridor and press on. It sounds like he's doing like Legends of the Hidden Temple right now. Splendidly conquer that first corridor and press on. Taste the divine might of my great temple complex, established here as my inner world, my reality marble. The great temple complex was not simply a fortress. It was also fundamentally different from the workshops created by Magi. What existed within was, so to speak, the very embodiment of profound mystery, reminiscent of the ancient age of gods. For example, the Radiant Pharaoh and his subordinates had temporary immortal bodies. For the heroic spirits who dared to blaspheme and raise their blades against him, he placed seals that would prevent them from unleashing the true names of their noble phantasms. That's broken as hell! It just cancels noble phantasms in here? At least true name evoking on them? Of course, it could not be limited to that alone, just as numerous gods existed. Huh. The gods have bestowed things upon mankind since ancient times. Sometimes blessings, sometimes curses. Then within this noble phantasm that was the body of a god king who held the gods within himself, it stood to reason that mysteries equaled in number to the gods. Oh my god, equal number to the gods contained there. Wow, okay. Now then, Saber, before the myriad of divine powers I possess, surely the hero who wields this planet's holy sword, however imperfectly, would not falter along the way. Regarding rampaging heroic spirits. The heroic spirits challenge the Holy Grail War with power beyond human comprehension, sometimes. The heroic spirits who challenge the Holy Grail War with powers beyond human comprehension sometimes act with their own wills. As previously described, all heroic spirits, aside from berserkers, possess distinct personalities. Therefore, the importance of building relationships has been thoroughly discussed. Here we address the possibility of their personality leading to a rampage. Servants at their core are embodiments of mythology, legends, and tales. This makes them immensely powerful. Magi often focus solely on their roles as weapons, but take heed. Beware the danger of a weapon with a personality. That's not all. Many servants summoned during the Holy Grail War bring with them a wish. That is to say, they possess a particular, exceptionally powerful desire. I'm going to put a space there. Yeah. No, you know what? A particular, exceptionally powerful desire. I'm going to put that as a period. Yeah, it's a period there. They are personalities overflowing with humanity, with heartfelt wishes. The potential for them to strike out on their own is ever present, far more so than their masters might imagine. Because you are a magus who calmly devises strategy and tactics, you pay particular mind to this. If your forces unexpectedly lose control due to their emotions, it would often necessitate a revision in your strategy. Occasionally, such a breakdown may even align with your intentions. Furthermore, if you can incorporate these into the framework of your strategy, there will be no issues at all. However, if neither case applies, indeed, you must not hesitate to use your command spells. I've been having also fun with my versions when I upload these. I've been using the FGO font for the main story. It actually just makes it look more like Fate, so this is just the default here, though. Who's speaking now? Watch your step, okay? No, but thank you. This kind of darkness is no problem for me. Oh, it's Assassin. Oh, Emerald. Okay. Really? You're amazing, Assassin. No, I'm not. The same day, at the same time, deep in the Okutama Mountains of western Tokyo, there was a girl in an emerald green dress that seemed to absorb the soft light of the moon and stars. Trees surrounded her. Stars filled the night sky. And at her side floated a white skull mask, or rather, the woman wearing it. The girl, Seijo Manaka, walked lightly along the nighttime path. It was an eerie sight. A young girl in a white mask advancing through the darkness where not even streetlights shone. It was like a scene from a fairy tale. It was fantastical, like something far from a world far removed from reality. In fact, even the machines meant to monitor for intruders were temporarily delayed in detecting them as a heat source. Manaka's magecraft may have stifled them, but either way the result was the same. The Asemi family's surveillance devices were inactive. They failed to alert anyone to the intruder. And so, Manaka walked on. Her destination was the workshop of Asemi Shizuri. Shizuri? No, I'm thinking of Siduri. Okay, no, I was like, wait, did they reuse that name? But no, that's different. A participant in the Holy Grail War. A fortress of magecraft where numerous Asemi family magi resided. But of course, who was there and what family they belonged to didn't matter much to Manaka. What mattered was the place where one of the masters was hiding. What was reaching the place where one of the masters was hiding, deep within the mountains. The master who had contracted rather. Not yet. She hadn't reached her destination just yet. And so, the tragic tale already told, already determined, had yet to occur. It had not happened yet. It's starting. Stopping along the mountain path, Manaka turned back. The masked woman nodded in silence. A nod of understanding. What is it that her young master saw? Not the night sky, or what it was. No, what was it? Not the night sky, not the trees of the forest, nor her who stood at her side, not even the Asemi workshop. Assassin had no doubt that her master was focused on something much further away. Let's go, something far, much further away. Yeah, we'll go with that. Even for a servant like her, long-range perception, recognition, or prediction would be impossible without a clairvoyant skill of the highest rank. Did Aika have it? Or was she simply gazing within her own thoughts? Suddenly her gaze turned upward. Assassin only realized she was looking at the stars after she began to speak. Oh, the stars are so pretty. The air is so much clearer here than in the city. I guess we are technically still in city limits, though, she added with a grin. The masked woman nodded quietly along. Well, we'll have to hurry. Or that's her. Well, we'll have to hurry. Yes. It'll be a little dangerous for a party, though. The girl began to walk. Their destination. The underground workshop guarded by layers upon layers of bounded fields. The Garden of Shadows, where countless magi and their numerous associates, Rider's Master, Asemi Shizuri, and the pure-hearted boy with a saint's temperament awaited them. Or rather, to the place where their sacrifices were gathered, awaiting the hour of tragedy. Everyone would die. By the deadly poison brought forth by Assassin, listening to the innocent girl's cheerful voice, looking at her smile, when she brought crisis to them, nobody, not a single human being, would escape alive. Yeah, she's out there looking in the forest. Okay. How many pages do we got for this one till the next chapter? Yeah, it's okay. I'm just looking at the page number here. You know what? It's a bit. So these are going to be a little shorter just because of the fact that I'm going to be, they're going to take longer to do because I just realized that's even more. They're going to be a little longer to do just because of the fact that I'm like also editing them at the same time. So yeah, we'll do it in small chunks, right? As I'm reading, if you see anything that you're like, hey, can you maybe see about this? Or I have some things about this. Hey, please, feel free to tell me, right? I will gladly take it into consideration. It doesn't mean it's going to change, but I'll take a look, right? That way it's like a group collaborative effort. Of course, by the time this goes up, it'll mostly be like members that will get a chance to help out. So, hey, if you're here watching as a member, cool. If you're not, well, it might be too late, but also might not be if it's particularly egregious. But thank you all for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time for the actual first act of Dear My Hero as we continue on. And it looks like we're going to learn a bit about Arash in our out of the kind of the last master servant pair. We really didn't learn almost anything about, so I'm real curious about that. Well, besides Lancer and her master. So we'll see. Thank you all for watching, guys. We'll see you then. Ciao. Yo.